Well, hello there. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Auntie's Advice. Today, we're going to be talking really briefly. I ain't going to hold y'all about an interview yesterday on Tamron Hall Show. Yeah, we got to get into it as we get into it. There were some things that kind of shocked me, and some things I think that we already knew. Let's get into it, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall. A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers to my new sister refuge. All in all, who have been here through the long. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for Auntie's Advice. Sweet old. It's time for Auntie's Advice. Oh, yeah. It's time for Auntie's Advice. Vice. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So, y'all, I'm just going to drop in here real quick. Like I said, I want to shout out Girl What's the Tea, Yazel, Sabrina, Aura. Welcome. And we'll say hi to Deirdre. Hi, Deirdre. How are you, sweetie? Yesterday, I watched an interview on Tamron Hall Show. And, it reminded me of sister wives back in the day. I don't know why I had totally forgotten that Tamron Hall from 2010 to 2014-15 was the host of the Sister Wives Tell All. Y'all, why I forgot that, I don't know why I forgot it, but I absolutely did forget it. But anyway, so she came out yesterday and she, talked about how, she was the host of the show. She said that they had asked her to, do the host of Sister Wives Tell All. And she said it was something that she just did not want to do. And she said, but at the time, she was really kind of getting started and everything, and it was a new show. And she said that, she was like, okay, it's a paycheck, let me do it. She recalled, being on the show, not feeling welcome, and also, basically being let go and told that they no longer wanted her to host the show because she was asking too hard of questions, right? The questions was too hard, too confrontational, whatever. And so this is the first time in this interview that happened. I believe it was yesterday. This was the first time that Meri and Tamron have seen each other since the show. So while she was removed from the show, she had speculations about how the cast felt about her and stuff like that. But, she wanted to, I guess confirm some of those things with Meri. And Meri was ready to do it. As we all know, this Sunday, Sister Wives will be back. And we will be covering Sister Wives, so don't worry about it. We got it. And I guess Meri is on a tour. Now, Meri, so of course, Tamron goes over this particular episode on the she discusses this particular episode where she was sitting down with the family. Meri had recently divorced Kody. And of course, gave her rights over to Robyn as the, wife. And so Tamron was asking the question, and some of y'all probably remember it. Y'all probably been looking at this long enough to remember it. But Tamron had asked the question during that tell-all, that, whether or not, this was causing any friction and anything, because she said, I know you probably gonna get offended, but this solidifies only one wife. So Robyn, who was pregnant at the time, was like, oh my God, that really did offend me. So, Janelle jumped in and said, well, Meri was married to him legally, or by the court at least. And so, that solidified Meri. And so Robyn said, what people have to understand is how seriously we take our spiritual marriages. Bullshit. Bull. Bullshit. Because if it was that simple, then your kids didn't need to be adopted, because he would have spiritually been their daddy. Like, let's not do this, okay? Now, I can't remember what season it was, whether or not it was, when Meri decided that she was going to give it up, right? And so, of course, Tamron's like, okay, well, let's bring Meri out. So Meri comes out, Tamron's teary-eyed, Meri's teary-eyed, and the two of them, are basically getting together and talking about this relationship, right? And so, Tamron was like, I fell in love with the kids, and she got really emotional when she was saying, they had became part of the family, and that, she loved seeing the children, and that the children was, always so well mannered and stuff like that. I don't know about now. But she was like, you have, very well, I think for the most part, having that many kids, most of them is right. But anyway. So, they just was talking, and Meri said, I was really honored that I always wanted to come, and I was really honored that you had asked me to come out, right? And all of that kind of stuff. So the question that Tamron asked around about 2010, 2014, 15, about the marriage being legitimized, is what Tamron believed was what Kody and the rest of them said, we got to get rid of Tamron. Now, of course, she didn't even want to do the show. She ends up doing it and then gets fired from doing it. Of course, they all have the new host, and she kind of skirts around stuff. How, some fans are, like her, and some fans just don't. So anyway, okay. So Tamron asked Meri straight out, Kody hated me, didn't he? And Meri said, yeah. Absolutely, he hated you. He probably said, the audacity of this woman to sit up here and ask me these questions. Tamron said that, when she would do the interviews and stuff like that, that she, would read questions, or suggested questions from the viewers. But she did not allow that to dictate what she asked, which is honorable. That's fine. You don't have to get nobody to, dictate nothing for you. And so, Tamron, who really is bold, Tamron asked Meri straight up. She said, when I was on the show with you, Meri, I felt like it was a whole bunch of tension between you and Robyn. Now, y'all, this was in the early parts. This was in the early years of Sister Wives. And she said, I felt like there was tension between you and Robyn. And Meri said, really? And she said, yeah. She said, because when I asked questions, you would look at Kody to respond to them. And there was some type of uncomfortableness, right? And she said, y'all didn't like each other, did y'all? Y'all really didn't get along. And Meri said, no. Now, y'all know daggone well, we on season, 1920? And these two women have pretended all these years to have a close relationship with one another. I am of the opinion that they've been acting this whole time. And I'm wondering whether or not they really was in a poly relationship. I know they got kids and stuff like that, y'all. But the way that Meri and Robyn interacted with each other, and Meri was always over there, and Meri said she wasn't on this person's side and she wasn't on that person's side, but it was pretty obvious to us that she had always been on Robyn's side. And for them to come out, Meri to come out and say that they didn't get along, she also talked about the jealousy inside of the family, and how they had to hide the jealousy. I think so. Now Meri's gonna wait until this season till she gets her cut a coyote pass, and now she gonna completely tell the truth. I question Meri, Janelle, Christine, and the whole crew on whether or not this really was a legitimate wedding or marriage for years. We all know that this stuff did not start with Christine leaving. Christine was a manifestation. Christine leaving, in my opinion, was a manifestation of a relationship that had long been over. It should not have taken Meri to come on Tamron's show and disclose that information when this woman got that camera up in her face. It took Tamron to bring it out that there was never a so Meri wrote this book, right? Meri wrote this book. And I haven't read it, but I've heard some people read it. I think it's in Meri's book. Y'all correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Somewhere in somebody's book, it was exposed that Robyn was in cahoots or had some kind of contact with the woman who was setting Meri up, which is why they ended up, Kody and them knew that Meri was in this relationship prior to Meri realizing that they knew. Was that in Meri's book? I know I heard it, saw it somewhere. I know I heard it, saw it somewhere. Y'all let me know downtown in the chat. Because this, for me, it further confirms that this was a farce for a long time. From my understanding, Robyn knew about the affair, had told Kody about the affair before Meri sat down at the infamous restaurant and told them. Robyn and Meri were friends for a long time. Tamron asked Meri during this interview, was there anything that she kind of regretted about the interview? About the divorce. You know what she said? Meri said that she regrets the first divorce, not the spiritual one, because she said the spiritual one she was ready for, but the one that she did with Robyn in order for Robyn to get the kids, she wasn't ready for that. So all that time that I had been reviewing this show, indicating that Meri was forced to get divorced from Kody in order for Robyn kids to be legitimized, was true. Meri was forced to do it. She said she wasn't ready to do that divorce. And that's why Meri has been. Now, granted, when we first started looking at this, Meri was a bitch. Okay, I ain't even going to say she wasn't. But this further solidifies where Meri has been this whole time, y'all. Meri ain't never liked Robyn. There was never a relationship between these two women with her or the other women. They said that the jealousy stemmed from Kody running back and forth because they said at first they couldn't really see what Kody was doing until they all moved in the cul-de-sac. And that's when they started to see where Kody was actually spending his time. And I'm saying that's impossible. Here's why I say that. Prior to Kody and Robyn getting married, Kody had Robyn in a love shack down the street. Remember, y'all, he moved her and brought her to the love shack with her kids? You mean to tell me that these women did not know? Furthermore, when Christine had her baby, was giving birth to Truly, Kody was in there. Here we are, probably at the final season, and Meri finally comes clean. Absolutely. Well, wouldn't she? All that she was going through. What else did I write down? She asked Meri about the land. Meri told her that she had to wait, but she wanted her to know. She had to wait and start seeing it this season. I think the tabloids have basically already spilled the tea about it. She talked about it being 14 acres, and she said this was something she fought for. She said she only talks to Robyn on a Robyn needs me basis. And probably the same way she only talks to Meri, which is why we're being bored to death with Meri's girlfriend. I know I am. Last season I was bored with the girlfriend. She asked her what was the biggest thing that she regretted. You know what Meri said? Meri said she's been dealing with grief over the divorce not being what she wanted it to be. So Tamron was like, you know what? What do you mean by that? She said that they could be kind to each other. She was hoping that once they did the divorce, they could be kind to each other. And Tamron asked her, is Kody unkind? She said he is very unkind. Let's see if this plays out on the show. Let's see if Meri continues this farce as we get into the season of Sister Wives. Is she going to be this bold Meri that she was on Tamron Hall Show? Tamron said, I felt like when we would get together, that you would be throwing me subliminal messages and giving me the tea. And Meri said she was. So all these years, Meri has silence. I hope she goes out this season with a bang and doesn't let anybody intimidate her out of being real. Because we've been sick of the old Meri. And maybe, just maybe, if Meri had shown just a smidget of these kahunas, I would have liked her. I would have liked her. But I am curious what you all think. Since Meri has finally come clean. Because Tamron sure enough confronted her. And that's why they had to get rid of her. Because she's not one of these hosts that's going to go by what's on the cue card. She's not going to go by, and she did not go by what was being said in her ear. what she probably was they were trying to script her to do. Tamron was like, no. She felt like, she said when she was doing the show, she felt like there were some things that just wasn't any business of the people who were asking. And I agree. I think that sometimes we ask questions that's overboard. But anyway, y'all let me know what you saying, honey. Yup. Yup. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this downtown in the comments section. Until Sunday or Monday. Y'all be safe out there in those streets and in the water. Bye, y'all.